Adventurers, welcome to our Ashes of Creation August development update. We hope that you have all been well and safe as per usual. Obviously, I'm Margaret Crone, your Director of Communications, and with me, as always, is Stephen Sharif, our one and only Creative
Woo, we
Director.
did it.
Woo!
We sort of
We
made it through the month of August.
we did make it through the month of August. Obviously, we pushed to August 26th, but we hit it. It's there. Everyone has been graciously hopping in and helping us test. We appreciate it so much. And of course, today we are going to be talking about, as you can see below, some quick reminders and then going into Alpha 2 Phase 3 launch. For those of you who maybe aren't following as closely, this is going to be a segment for you. For those of you who are knee deep in Anvils, we totally understand that part is not going to be anything new to you. But we will note a few things that might be of, you know, interest to you. And then we're going to go into kind of like the roadmap to the future and walk you guys through a little bit of that. And
Do I
then we'll
look?
do a live Q&A. We'll be popping into the game, answering questions, and that will be what we're expecting to have on the docket today. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yes, very excited. No, I just want to say that, every month is a blessing. We did make it through August. It was definitely definitely a lot of hard work that the team went through in delivering phase 3. So, we've been excited over the past few days watching you guys jump in, and I think we're going to have a fun stream today talking a little bit about what's up and coming, but also reflecting on the start of phase 3. So I am always excited to have these discussions and chat about the roadmap. I know a lot of people have been asking for that and what that's going to look like, and we have a lot of info on that today.
Yeah, we haven't really taken a beat. Our team has just gone right into the next thing for us. So it has been a lot going on in the office here in this last couple of weeks, just because we've been parallel doing things. But we always like to give you guys an insight in what we're doing, how development works, at least from our side of things. So walking you through that. But before we get into all of that, we'll start off with our YouTube subscriber comment spotlight. And if you don't know how this works, basically, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, make sure you're a public subscriber and comment on our full development update video. You can be potentially chosen. It is random. So the first one, the comment here is from Tall Tail Gale, and they have stated, I wholly disagree, to be honest. Nothing gives me a bigger dopamine rush than looting a best in slot item from a raid boss. Crafters should have equally as good as stuff as drops. It shouldn't be one or the other. If crafters are better, then it's the same as mobs being better, just the opposite. Have both be equally viable. And so I'll let Steven talk on that front. Obviously,
Yeah,
loot and crafting has been a big topic. We're going to talk more about that later as well, but why
for
not
sure.
address it here?
Yeah, no, I think we have said, if you to this user, Tall Tail Gale, was that the name?
Yep.
I would definitely engage with the wiki, right? And look at the commentary that we've had in the past around our design goals and decisions with regards to crafting, but also with regards to raid bosses and drops from them. When I make the comment that crafters make the best shit, it means that it is in line with the best shit that can also be dropped off of the world bosses and raid bosses. And there are components that drop that also craft those weapons and armors as well that the crafters can make. And they can generally make it better because they can infuse higher grade materials as part of that. They can temper it further. They can add unique enchantment stones to it, right? So that's what we mean when crafters make the best shit. It's not that you will also not have access to the best shit on raid bosses. That's really the epitome of the drop reward tables from the environment. And crafters are capable of making that when they get the materials, but also you can achieve that off of bosses as well. So it's kind of a two-pronged, best shit path, for lack of a better term, I guess.
All right. So hopefully that
Yeah, I like the comment
assuages your
in chat
concern.
here by OLED. It sounds really good. Crafters are for mass producing. That's right. So, if you want to get the recipe off of that raid boss, if you want to get the materials to craft multiple of those things, you're killing that raid boss repeatedly. But it is also going to have a reward table that drops the best in slot stuff as well.
All right. And then we'll get into some other ones. So first
It's
and
a
foremost
it's a
here,
multi-shit approach.
language.
I'm sorry. Oh,
No,
my bad.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. How many do you get in a poll? Like five S words? I don't know. But we are going to be doing some alpha 2 access key giveaway or not key access giveaways in chat. So if you haven't had access yet, this doesn't give you anything else. So if you already have access, please don't try to win it. Um, we will be doing some of that in chat. So keep an eye out for that. And reminder that you will only please only engage with the Ashes of Creation channel. No one else will be reaching out to you. It will only be the official Ashes of Creation channel. So do not get scammed. I cannot help you if you get scammed. Please do not. It will not be codes. No codes will be given out. This is going to be through our CS platform or through giving it to your account. So don't get scammed by someone trying to give you a code or getting your information. Follow the instructions from our Ashes of Creation staff and have fun, and hopefully good luck to those of you who are interested. And beyond that, we have some dev discussions. Obviously, economy and stat rebalance has been a big topic, so we are going to keep that thread up. And we've done an initial report on this before, but we're going to keep it going and do another one on this. So please definitely fill in your feedback over there. We want to know all kinds of different things, like what aspect of the current crafting system do you like or dislike? What makes crafting, gathering, and vendor systems fun for you, etc. So check it out. Head on over, answer our questions. We have a whole bunch of them over there. And if you have strong feelings, I would highly recommend you going over there and leaving your thoughts, which I know a lot of you do. I've been reading the comments, the Reddits, the socials. You have thoughts, so definitely go over there and share your thoughts. On the creator program, I know
Well,
some of you folks.
and
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, before we
Yeah,
go on
go
to the
ahead.
creator program there, I just want to speak a little bit about that. It is super important. I know that we have a lot of commentary that comes in on Discord. We have some comments that come in on Twitter and on Reddit. Obviously, the community team does a great job in putting those different comment sources together in a report for the team. But when you are architecting your feedback as a tester, as a player, as a fan of Ashes, particularly with regards to the economy, a lot of the great feedback that I've seen from players regarding, new gear acquisition, new player experience, onboarding, accessibility for the low end tier grade systems, we just released a major, fundamentally different approach to the economy system, both from an input and output perspective, but also from a recipe perspective. I've seen a lot of commentary. The economy team is reading that commentary around how players feel around those different things. And of course, you're going to get mixed responses, right? We're going to get people who enjoy the higher complexity in the recipe requirements, who enjoy the lower drop rates, who see the higher emphasis even at the low end tier grade systems. And then you're going to have the people that are talking about, I should be getting this introductory gear from questing and from vendors and from drops as well. And we're trying to balance that. Obviously, we're not going to stick the initial econ update, off the bat. The purpose of Alpha 2 is to actively test. So when we talk about what that testing incurs from the player community, it should incur that feedback loop where you can come to us and tell us what you like and what you dislike about the current paradigm. I wouldn't delve deep into the types of solutions that you would think of as part of that feedback. Instead, I would just focus around the things that are abrasive from a player enjoyment perspective and the things that help to contribute to a player enjoyment perspective, and then allow the developers to refine that feedback into actionable items that we can work towards for our economy update. The economy team is going to continue to reflect on and refine over the course of the next coming couple of months what they have now established as a new baseline, both from, again, the input-output scenario here, but we want to do that obviously with the feedback from the community in place, and it is best had when you're using the channels that Margaret just gave, those discussion threads, and articulating yourself in a very what I like, what I dislike about the current paradigm perspective.
Yeah, and we're going to be sending out another not necessarily dev discussion, but something along those lines for folks as well. That's a little bit more broader that covers other things as well in progression. So just being on the lookout for that. Then we're going to be compiling that on Tuesday for the team. So we are powering through, giving as much feedback and updates. And hopefully you've been seeing, we've been making updates on a daily this week. We're going to go, we'll talk a little bit more about our update cadence going forward in later in this update. But yeah, we this week was we were redeploying every day because we wanted to make sure that before we leave for our wonderful 3-day weekend that we're leaving you guys with no major critical issues. But we'll still have people on staff throughout the weekend keeping an eye on things and helping ensure that the realms are in a good place for you all. With that, we also have our creator program. I know there's been a lot of people reaching out about that. We are still in our application phase. When we send out the invitations, we will make sure everybody is aware. We'll be screaming from the rooftops about it. We want to make sure that when we do that, we do it at a really good moment for us as a company. So we're not quite there yet. I know folks were like, it's phase 3. Are you going to do it? We definitely plan to do it sometime within this phase 3, but give us a little bit of time. We want to make sure that we're in a place where we're really happy content wise before we open the floodgates to you all and get you access. And yeah.
I mean, I think it's accurate to say, Margaret, that it's definitely going to happen before the end of this year.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
We're aiming for before the end of this year, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's that on that front. I just want to make sure folks know. And if you, yeah, we'll go over that later. But we also have careers. We don't have a ton of positions up on the site right now because we filled so many. If you saw some of the pages before, we filled so many positions in the last few months. It's been crazy. We are pretty on it, but we would love for your help amplifying this one. We are looking for a principal economy designer. If you know someone who would be a great fit, please send them our way. Of course, there's a couple other positions up there on our site. And if you are a developer who is of great talent, or you know someone who doesn't fit any of those roles as well, but you think they should come and apply, there is a general application option as well to apply via there. So come join our family and be part of creating Ashes of Creation. It is a journey, that is for sure.
And I'll just reiterate what Margaret said. Obviously, the community has been a big help in our recruiting efforts. I mean, obviously, the industry is a little bit in turmoil, as I'm sure many of you who follow industry news are aware. It is definitely an employer's market out there when it comes to hiring individuals of great talent. But from a player perspective, if I were in your shoes and I were a fan of this game and I thought that I wanted to do my part in helping to direct developers who I have had positive experiences in games in the past, specifically as it relates to the economy and this principal economy position. I would do things like, potentially tweeting on, or not tweeting, what is it? Xing on Xer. I don't know what the what the phrasing is now for X, but sending out tweets to those, raising the awareness of Ashes of Creation and the position that's open. And think about,
I
what
think
were
it's
the
just
economies that
posting
you
now, is
played?
what it's
Posting?
called,
Is it
right?
just posting?
I think it
That's
is. I don't know.
that's not as fun as tweeting on Twitter.
I
Uh,
know. You have
it's
to take it
still
up with
tweeting.
Elon.
I know, right? But that's what I would do if I were in those shoes. And you guys have been a tremendous help, as Margaret said, in helping to get the word out for Ashes. I mean, we get thousands of applications on a monthly basis, so we definitely have a pick from the cream of the crop.
Yeah. I mean, we are a game in alpha and we already have we have such an amazing community and we thank you all for being here with us. I know some folks are hanging on to the end of the train with us and others are like, I'm just going to watch the train. So I think whichever path you've chosen, we appreciate you. We're happy to have you joining us and following us on your
Absolutely.
favorite social platform. And hopefully if you see any things that we can improve, send it my way. I'm always open to hearing some alternative things. I know, Stephen, you wanted to talk about a potential player council that we wanted to
Yeah,
just
yeah.
bring up
I
as
wanna I wanna
yeah.
plant the seeds. I want to plant the
Mhm.
seeds about this. Obviously we have now gone through our 3 phases. 4 if you count phase 2.5. of launches for the alpha 2. And we obviously collect a lot of information and feedback from the community's perspective across many different mediums, as we've discussed. And I think we have really solid representation from the community there. And of course, we have our PI group, and we do monthly discussions with our PI group as well. And they're a very dedicated group of individuals, and we can appreciate their assistance many times in testing certain things and having an opportunity to provide feedback as a first look capacity. But and this is going to be a hot topic. I'm aware of that. I'm a member of our MMORPG community, and there have been times where I have seen similar systems put into place, and it can be, a popularity contest. It can sometimes be commandeered by guilds or we're too representative of content creators and not the average Joe gamer. And that's not what the goal is going to be for this player council. However, I do think that it would be a benefit to have a rotating seasonal player council. And I'm not going to go into the details of what I think will define that rotation or what will define the election process or the season quite yet. I want to give Margaret and her team the opportunity to help inform what that design will look like, since it is a primarily community-driven aspect here. But I do want to plant the seed from a community perspective that having a player council will help us to confer with a group of individuals who should be representative and able to articulate a more pointed voice than the wide, scraping of data and voices from our large platforms around the top bugs that we should be focusing on, or the priorities from our backlog that we should be incorporating into the next milestone of planning, and let those voices kind of have a hand in conversation to a degree. I think that would be a benefit. It's not a singular point of information. It is one of many points of data and information that will be added to the mix. But I do think it can provide to some degree of a benefit. So I would like you as a community to provide some feedback around that idea. What are some of the ways that you would consider some election process around that player council? What are the timeframes, limits, and term limits that you would want to see as part of that council? And whether or not you even think that's a good idea. Not totally sold on it yet, but I do want to collect feedback from the community about it.
And from our side on the community front, we've seen a lot of focus groups work really well for development, especially when they rotate. They're not the same people all the time, and or they're specific to specific things. Like, hey, if you're looking for archetype feedback specific to the fighter, you can find the people who have the top DPS in the fighter realm. Like, we can even do it data driven, right? So like, there's so many different ways to go about that, depending on like the type of feedback we're looking for, whatever it might be. But definitely would love to hear you guys' thoughts. So if you have any, feel free to share them.
And
If you're
yeah.
live here in Twitch or whatever social platform you prefer, or if you're watching over on YouTube, leaving them in the comments below as well.
And I do see some comments already in chat. I see comments about WoW having this council and Eve having a council, and I'm aware of all those. What I think would be beneficial if you are not a proponent of this kind of idea is talk about the bad experiences you have had
Mhm.
personally from these types of engagements in the past, right? Because that can help to inform whether or not
Things for us
there
to
is a way
avoid.
forward for us to avoid. Exactly, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep those things in mind. And, a lot of us have been part of them. I was part of some of those councils before when I was just a player, when I was in like high school and college. And I've also run them before at other companies and found a lot of success with them, but very much keeping in mind player sentiment on that front. But yeah, we just wanted to see that. And with that, we're going to move on to Alpha 2 Phase 3 launch. Obviously, we have a little video that we want to share with you that just kind of encapsulates some of the highlights. But first, if there's anything you want to kind of share with folks, I know we touched base about this earlier, Stephen, but
Which one was it? I'm sorry, I was reading chat.
the launch for Alpha 2 Phase 3, that's the
Oh,
topic we're on now. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we had the introduction of a brand new economy system here. We know we're going to be working through that. We have some definitely top level bugs with regards to the Anvil. We have a new lighting. We nativized our lighting solution. We have a large interior space within the playable area that Lumen is having a little bit of a struggle bus with from a lighting perspective. We're going to be addressing those, obviously. From a technical standpoint, I will say that we haven't experienced very many crashing. We've had 5 bespoke DDoS attacks against us since the launch of phase 3 on the 26th. We have successfly mitigated those within an hour's time frame in most cases. So we're proud of that infrastructure to a degree. And we've been seeing some pretty good performance on each of the server workers as under the heavy load. We had a very large number of concurrent players across the realms on the first day that I think many of you guys obviously saw. We had 1,000+ queues at different times, and we handled it better
Oh,
than we have
why?
historically. Whoops. My bad, guys.
Um, y- he should be good.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, I kicked him.
Yep, perfect. So we are obviously reflecting on the launch. We know we pulled in a little late with what was expected for the start of phase 3, but the new crate system being online, the town's level 4 being online, and some of the progression changes that we had with regards to power level scaling and the time to XP. We are collecting a lot of data on that and will be iterating over the course of these next couple of months. So expect, as we have seen with previous phases, that as we move through the introductory weeks of this phase launch, there are going to be, significant changes and bugs that are getting addressed. We have a big patch that I think went live this morning as well from QA. So obviously keep up to date with the patch notes as you see them, but we're pretty happy with so far what we've seen with this launch compared to the other ones.
And we'll continue making updates. For those of you who've been with us for a long time prior to phase 3, you have seen the progression and the changes that we've made. Obviously, if you've been with us more frequently, which, phase 2 to phase 3, maybe not as much of a difference, but we are going to kind of show you a little highlight of what has come in this last update as a high level. And then we'll talk a little bit more when we come back from this video. But thank you all for joining us. We'll see you on the flip side. Hello, glorious adventurers! The final segment of the Ashes of Creation early testing is here. Alpha 2 Phase 3 calls all Varens once more to help shape its future through providing feedback, hunting bugs, and discovering new frontiers to conquer. Your journey begins with a choice. Select your starting zone. Either the lush riverlands, alive with winding waterways and endless green forests, or the Anvils, homeland of the Dinsenkel dwarves, where towering mountains, ancient forges, and untold adventures await. Step into a refined first-time experience, crafted to launch you into the world. 2 new races join the fight. The nature-connected Pyre and the renowned Nikuan explorers. Who will you become? Nodes have been renamed to settlements. You can now advance your settlement to the town stage, unlocking new service building layouts and expanded skill trees. With every upgrade, the settlements of Vera feel more alive than ever. With bigger settlements comes bigger resources. So how are you going to move all that stuff? There's personal crates for keeping your loot safe, construction crates to transport building materials, and commodity crates to trade goods between settlements. Basically, if it's got stuff, we've got a crate for it. We've also rebalanced the economy and stats. Crafting, gathering, drops, recipes, vendors, quests, you name it. Everything's tuned for smoother progression. And for our testers who purchase packages, check your in-game mailbox to claim some mounts and costumes to show off your style. Phase 3 is packed with even more goodies, from guild progression and storage to new pocket dungeons and more, ready to be encountered. Welcome back to Vera Adventures! And that's right, you heard it. So settlements have been renamed.
How did you get your voice to be AI like that, Margaret?
I don't know. It's so funny. I'm like, you've been listening to my voice this whole time, and then everyone's like AI voice. I'm like, but it's just my voice. I do put on like a informational voice. I was trying to be upbeat and excited, but
Yes.
informational.
No,
Hopefully,
that was a great video. I think Kyle did a great job on that. Yes, big news. We are renaming nodes into settlements.
all the engineers rejoice because
I
nodes mean
know,
different
right?
things.
Engineers, designers, nodes are obviously a nomenclature that was derived out of a development period and kind of stuck because, we didn't have Margaret back in the day when we were talking about these things to help us navigate the player-facing nomenclature that we should be using. But now we're in a position where obviously we're going to be reviewing some of our nomenclature. The first up change obviously is nodes and settlements. Settlements obviously represent, I think, a more accurate depiction of what these locations are looking to provide, the stages that they exist within. And as we introduce new players in the future to Ashes of Creation, that nomenclature, I think, will be far more understood as an initial conduit of information to the player. So it's going to be difficult. Change is always difficult. If you are a longtime supporter and follower of the project, getting the word nodes out of your mind is likely going to be impossible. However,
Even
for
developers, I've had to
yeah,
keep, or even our team, I've had to continue to update it. When we originally wrote this script, like we had settlements in there, and then later in the script we said nodes. I was like, oh no, we got to redo the VO because we said nodes later in the script. So it's just kind of getting
absolutely.
it out of your own head. On our front too, it's going to be a while, but
There'll always be
yeah.
nodes in my heart and head, but at least when speaking about it, I'll refer to it
People
as best
said
I can as settlements.
people said send settlements doesn't feel the
Oh,
same as send
I
nodes.
know, send nodes. That's so true. But it's perhaps a
um,
little bit more PG.
Yeah, perhaps. Maybe we'll make a shirt that send nodes is just like a ode to the back to the old days. On the entitlements front, I just wanted to touch base and let you guys know that these are just some of the costumes and mounts. We're going to be continually adding more of those. So if you're somebody who purchased something in the past, a cosmetic, those will be coming online in segments, and we'll keep you guys informed about which ones are online when they do come online. And we will eventually someday have more cosmetics. I know there's been a lot of people DMing me going like, or posting and tagging me and Steven asking for new ones. The new ones probably will not be exclusive like the other ones were, so we can rotate them around and not have it be like very specific to a very specific situation. Although there may be some that do fall within those lines as well. Um, then there's some other things that we just want to set expectations on. Obviously, Anvils is not on parity with the Riverlands. It still needs a little, a little love. For those of you who've been playing it, you're probably well aware. But
And
so it's
and
still
we
going. You're going
talked
to still
about that.
see some updates
Yeah,
on
and we
that part.
talked about that, right, leading
Mm-hmm.
into phase three. We talked about that the goal for Anvils is obviously not to achieve content parity with the Riverlands. That is not possible, right, with the amount of time frame that we had to introduce the zone, and that it was going to follow a more similar structure of zone introduction as the Sand Squall, the Turquoise, and the June Dark. And I think the initial pass here from a terrain perspective, from foliage and verticality, like what we're establishing within the zone is obviously your playtesting that is going to provide us with the feedback necessary so that when we implement our points of interest, content pathing, and the golden path work that's still going into the zone, it'll be informed by some of that navigability information feedback that you're giving us and traversability feedback as well. And that's how, I think Anvils it looks beautiful. I love the area outside of the lighting, challenges that we're having right now. And I think it's going to be a great bowl for another starting zone. And I think a lot of players are sharing that sentiment.
And then the other thing we've talked about it quite a few times now already in this live stream, but we're going to hit it home again, is that we are aware of the economy concerns and we'll be addressing them. We know that folks have had, a lot of feedback in regards to gear drops, crafting progression. The team is definitely keeping those things in mind. We've submitted multiple community reports in regards to those. Just for perspective for you guys, we do daily and weekly and then very specific reports around things. For those of you who submitted your feedback over the weekend too, that was sent over to the team. So We really appreciate it. And we'll be putting up one additional one today at some point that we'll have run until the end of the weekend as well, so that we can put that together for the team.
I
Yes,
like that. I like that
we're
in this
gathering
video.
thoughts.
I like Margaret in this video. I don't know why, but Kyle has a scene where he grabs the like 6-pack on the Pyre and just pulls it out in a little bit.
That was
What's
for
that?
you, Stephen.
That's so good. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Just reminding me that I don't have that.
Oh my gosh, that's too
And
funny.
every other gamer out there.
Hey, look, we do in game, and that's what matters.
Dad
You
bods
can have it in
represent.
game. Um, anything else you want to note on the economy front, Stephen?
Um, no, I think I've given you guys a healthy expectation on what to see from the economy team going forward over the course of these next few weeks. Obviously, we're going to, as I said, collect data and make some updates. We'll make you privy to those updates as they come from a patch note perspective. So make sure that you're staying tuned there, and participate in the discussion thread that Margaret announced previously. It's going to be very helpful for us to indicate the types of changes that the community are asking for.
So the next thing, we'll actually cover that later. So I'm not going to go too much into basically the testing information, but I will say we are up 24/7. So minus the downtime for updates. I know that, EU folks, we do our updates during a time that is not friendly for you. So I just want to extend a very big gratitude for your testing. Unfortunately, from our side, during these alphas and betas, we will be doing those updates at that around 10 a.m. Pacific time. It allows us to react so that when we put those updates up, we're able to react to them. So if something happens or, there are concerns, we're able to address them immediately. Obviously for launch, we will talk about what other alternative options there are to be more EU friendly for your guys' updates versus the NA realms and so on and so forth. This is a fresh start. All the characters have been wiped. So if you're logging in and you're like, where's my character? That's why. Phase 3 is a new start. These are new, fresh realms. And then, we do have 2 realms. We have the Shoal for the NA and Lotharia for EU. So if you're curious about that. And PTR. We have PTR currently down. It will come up as needed. There may be times where we need to bring it up for things, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we move into the future. And then, of course, the Alpha 2 third wave bundle is currently the way to get access. We may change things in the future, but for now, that is what the current case is in regards to the shop. I know that there's a lot of questions about that, so I want to make sure that it's very clear for folks what the current plan is. And with that, I think we're ready to move on to the roadmap to the future. If you are good, Stephen.
Oh my God. Yes, I think I'm good.
All right. So we will be right back. We are going to bring in Bill Trost and Brian Langford, who will be joining us to go over our future milestone plan. Hello, glorious adventurers! The final segment of the Ashes of Creation early testing is here. Alpha 2 Phase 3 calls all Varens once more to help shape its future through providing feedback, hunting bugs, and discovering new frontiers to conquer. Your journey begins with a choice. Select your starting zone. Either the lush riverlands, alive with winding waterways and endless green forests, or the Anvils, homeland of the Dinsenkel dwarves, where towering mountains, ancient forges, and untold adventures await. Step into a refined first-time experience, crafted to launch you into the world. 2 new races join the fight, the nature-connected Pyre and the renowned Nikuan explorers. Who will you become? Nodes have been renamed to settlements. You can now advance your settlement to the town stage, unlocking new service building layouts and expanded skill trees. With every upgrade, the settlements of Vera feel more alive than ever. With bigger settlements comes bigger resources. So how are you going to move all that stuff? There's personal crates for keeping your loot safe, construction crates to transport building materials, and commodity crates to trade goods between settlements. Basically, if it's got stuff, we've got a crate for it. We've also rebalanced the economy and stats, crafting, gathering, drops, recipes, vendors, quests, you name it. Everything's tuned for smoother progression. And for our testers who purchase packages, check your in-game mailbox to claim some mounts and costumes to show off your style. Phase 3 is packed with even more goodies, from guild progression and storage to new pocket dungeons and more, ready to be encountered. Welcome back to Vera Adventures! We're back, and with us is Brian and Bill. Brian, if you want to introduce yourself, and then Bill, once he's done, you can go ahead and introduce yourself. For people who don't know who the two of you are, I think a lot of our folks who are part of our crew know, but a refresher is good.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to be back and part of this Road to the Future part. Yeah, Brian Langford. I'm the executive producer on Ashes Creation. Work with this team every day on making this product. So it's a dream gig.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Bill Trost. I'm the director of design here at Intrepid, working on Ashes. Look forward to sharing all of our latest info with you.
Yeah, so first and foremost, we're going to be talking about looking to the future, the timeline. And I know folks are always anxious when we give dates, but we're going to go through this together and we'll take you along our journey. First and foremost is our Alpha 2 schedule. And Brian, I'm going to hand it over to you to kind of go over these bulletins, and Stephen and I and Bill can add any additional information we want as we go through it.
Yeah, cool. Let me get this pulled up here. Okay, well, so we're talking about our roadmap here a little bit. I think in part I wanted to kind of talk a little bit. We did at one point talk about production strategy in a previous live stream, but I thought it'd be worth kind of talking too a little bit about how Stephen kind of comes up with these ideas. And I think what we're currently looking at is called, what's that there, Stephen?
The Harbingers milestone?
Harbingers, the Engines of Chaos?
Yes, the Engines of Chaos. They are indeed the Engines of Chaos.
And we'll be going through the details of that after we get over the timeline part.
Yeah. So so for the last couple of weeks, I've been trying very hard to get these things coordinated. And we've been starting to pull those abstracts, those beautiful, beautiful game design thoughts out of Stephen's head, and sitting down and starting to actually put together a timeline of events. And so we have, one second here. We have been working on this since like the last maybe month, trying to get everything ready. And I think we're starting kick this off on September 2nd. Yeah, sorry.
September
Thank
2nd.
you.
Yeah. And
Yep.
when we're looking at obviously the future, the first thing that we need to address obviously is the Alpha 2 schedule. And taking that time to react to the phase 3 launch.
Yep.
That
That's
was on
right.
the 26th, right?
Yep.
And obviously, as you guys are aware, we announced a delay to that launch. It was originally intended to be August 4th, and the train doesn't stop moving even in that case, right? Because we have future milestones that are planned, and this next one that's coming up that's intended to land at the end of the year. And we want to make sure that we get that, out. But we also want to preserve the time to react to our August 26th launch as well, right, Brian?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's where we're at now. Is we're in the React phase. So essentially, we want to watch everything, kind of talk about everything that you talked about in the last segment, Stephen, where we're kind of watching and making sure that everybody's engaging with the game. There may be things that we need to kind of course correct on and/or bring internally and do stuff like that. But as I was saying, we did start on the path of looking at the Harbingers a couple weeks back. So that our work will all begin on Tuesday when we come back from the 3-day weekend here. But we will continue
Much deserved
to
3-day weekend for our teams. They've been
That's so
some of them have
true.
been working very, very long, kicking butt. So I want to give a shout out to all of them who have been
Yeah.
doing amazing things. I talked about it earlier in our previous segment, but we haven't really stopped to smell the roses and enjoy the fruits of our development. Obviously, some of
Aw.
us have gotten into play, but a lot of it has been very focused on planning for what's next so that we can start our sprint on the 2nd and get moving and grooving into that.
What do you got there, Stephen?
This is Margaret was talking about all the hard work, and this is my stress pillow.
A little dawn breaker.
That's my Dawnbreaker plushie stress pillow.
That's funny. So
Stephen
yeah,
Keeson.
just to go back to this though, too, the Alpha 2 Phase 3 stuff is, I mean, it was a big time for the company. A lot of people worked really hard to get us through this. Shout out to the entire development team for that. And we will continue to react to the Phase 3 things as we're moving into the Harbingers Engines of Chaos. But we will
Yeah,
be beginning development work on that basically September 2nd. Go ahead, Maggie.
yeah, I was just going to move us into the second line here, which is, or the third
Yeah,
one, which
third
is
line.
our updates are going to be coming up on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. roughly until done. So that is going to be our cadence of updates going forward to the Alpha 2 realms. So we do plan to continue to give you guys bug fixes, and you'll see some updates in between the build up to the Harbinger update. And those downtimes will vary depending on the work that's required. And we're obviously aiming to bring these up as quickly as possible. Usually they're 1 hour downtimes, but they may need to be longer depending on what we're trying to accomplish during that downtime.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just to kind of elaborate real quick on that, I'm sorry, Brian,
No, go ahead.
but we had Hector on last month, talked a little bit about the QA process, right? For those of you who are not perhaps in software development, trying to express a little bit what that cadence looks like. Majority of our fixes we want to do down on our lowest branch so that it has the most amount of time to soak and get tested by QA in case it introduces additional risk and or bugs. That's why this cadence is going to be coming every Tuesday with the bigger updates and the bigger change lists that you'll see. That doesn't exclude the fact that we may have hotfix updates that might be smaller in size, but address more severe issues that need to be addressed in a faster timeline that doesn't incorporate that lower branch time to bake with the QA team. So you may still see some redeploys on a daily basis, depending on the types of severity 0 issues or severity 1 issues that we experience in the production environment. But generally, Tuesdays are going to be those big, larger promotion updates.
And for clarity on what those those severity 0 or high critical issues are, these are often crash issues. These are blockers in your progression or things of that sort, or blocking content, like major blockers.
Yep.
Or they can be realm oriented, or they're usually something that's pretty drastic for taking them down. And then sometimes we like to sneak in some extra low hanging ones just because, hey, why not? On top of that, if we're already having to do a redeploy, so you may see some additional things that get snuck in there with those Sev zeros, but just giving some clarity on that. And exploits, obviously, things like that would be in that realm.
Yep, and you'll continue to see those updates weekly on Tuesdays, right up until we're ready to put out Harbingers, which I think we have listed as November 18th.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited for that one. But also to that point, we want to mention the PTRs. The PTR with content to be tested is up usually 3 to 5 days in advance of our Tuesday updates. That means that Thursday night or Friday night or Saturday night on the same kind of weekly rotations, we'll have PTR testing available with the freshest stuff that Stephen was saying comes up from those lower streams.
Yeah, and obviously we're aware that with the launch of Phase 3, not a lot of people are going to be super incentivized to participate on the PTR environment because obviously it's not progression predicated. It doesn't persist over time. However, it is an important loop for us to ensure that we do have tester participation on PTR because the more the merrier in finding the bugs, scale testing the issues that, we scale test automatically internally with bots, but, a bot is not exactly a player. So we do want to get player hands on the PTR. As Margaret is pointing out here and Brian is pointing out here, the PTR will be expected to have early access roughly 3 to 5 days prior to the feature going live on the Alpha 2 realms. And in order to help with that incentivization, we are going to be incorporating some additional fun events that can allow us obviously to collect data and for you guys to bug hunt, but will also give you the opportunity to potentially get some cosmetics for your efforts on the PTR. So I think that's going to be something that will manifest in a number of different ways, depending on the types of systems and content that we intend to test with that particular PTR session. But generally, you can expect that there will be some limited cosmetics as part of a incentivization structure for people who do want to spend some time on PTR and help us test.
Yeah, and we'll let you guys know what those are whenever we are bringing you over there. And just so you're aware, anybody who has access to Alpha 2 will have access to PTR. You should automatically have that. So if you weren't aware, you do have access. You will have to download it. It does take up another, allotment of space on your hard drive or your SSD, that is. So just being, conscious of your space. I don't know, not everyone has that space. So I just want to make that clear for folks. But yeah, we're excited. Obviously, Alpha 2, we have a lot to accomplish within this leading up to beta. Beta is a big deal for us. We're not quite ready to share the complete road to beta, but we did want to share with you guys what our next big milestone is. And obviously, we'll have, like Brian's posted here, updates throughout. We will have, things that you guys are going to be seeing patched on Tuesdays. And in between those, there may be some really large ones. But November 18th is going to be a big one for us. So we hope that you guys will all join us for that as well. And I think we can go into what is in that. So if we want to switch to that.
And just real quick before we leave this, I do want to remind everybody that while we will be having these types of potential cosmetic incentivization packages for PTR, PTR is under visual NDA.
Correct,
so it will
yes.
remain under visual NDA as part of this testing process, and expect that that will still be true.
Good
okay,
reminder.
sorry, we can go into the next one.
No, so with November 18th having been said, it now brings us to what can we expect? The Harbingers, Engines of Chaos. So Steven, you want to tell us about the vision about it?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, Bill, if you can help me a little bit on this. I mean, obviously, we have talked about for a long time that the ancients as the primary antagonist of the story, but we haven't seen a lot of representation of them, and that's been purposeful, right? We've been establishing kind of that baseline world's perspective, and waiting for the right moment to when we would be introducing the ancients as a faction. And the Harbingers, as many of you are aware who have been following the story for a while now, are the moniker given to these comet or celestial bodies that really impacted Vera and started that apocalypse, essentially. And so what we want to do this upcoming milestone is, we have essentially doubled our internal narrative team. And we have the vast majority of our art resources dedicated this milestone to delivering on those Harbinger locations, but also into introducing the corruption zone mechanics, which is a system that is going to accompany these Harbinger locations and where these ancients kind of come from, and grow out within the territories for these kind of lawless zones with higher stakes and reward potential profiles that players get to participate. Bill, if you want to speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, it's really an opportunity for us to really dive into the ancient story and a lot of the rich history of Ashes through these Harbingers and through the ancients as a faction and their a powerful enemy force that decimated Vera in the ancient past and are now resurging from these Harbingers, and the players are going to have to deal with them. And part of that is they're by their nature they are spreaders of chaos and corruption, and so these are PvE and PvP true PvX events that are going to be happening and spreading across the face of Vera from these Harbinger landing points.
Yes.
There, it's a opportunity for us to really exercise a lot of the hard work we've been putting into revamping our narrative systems and our ability to author and present events and quests and narrative. And so there's going to be a lot of work going into introducing players to this group, bringing you into the story, and making sure that that the events themselves and all of the things we're asking you to do are fun and exciting, and give you a sense of what Vera is all about.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that obviously I love about having such a detailed wiki, and another, I often give shout outs to Lex, but phenomenal job in maintaining that for the community as a resource. Obviously, I know that we have other resources out there. I know Ashes Codex is one of them that many players utilize. It's always great that we have a community that is, proactive in standing up resources to help players, to help testers navigate the space. But one of the great things I love about the wiki is that you can go back and you can look at our original intent back in 2017 when we first discussed these ideas of our corruption zones, of these harbingers and what they represent. And I'll talk loosely a little bit about how these interact, especially with a dynamic world component, which is obviously one of the biggest selling points that we're trying to incorporate as part of our design. And I do want to caveat, take this with a grain of salt. Anytime, obviously, a unique brand of salt, a specific type of sea salt called developer sea salt. It is obviously subject to change. There are things that can happen as we go through this milestone in development that can cause us to course correct, that can be specific to the engine, that can be unique to the deliverable goal that we iterate upon, right? That's the soup of development that can exist, right? And so I know that we spend a lot of time kind of trying to express that to the community and to the player base. It is an integral component of what it means to understand the process of development. So help me in making sure that your fellow players and testers understand that when I talk about things that are to come, they are subject to change. So with that being said, I do want to talk about the vision and the goals, right, that we are trying to incorporate as part of this Harbinger mechanic. So essentially, as you know, the story of Vera, the ancients arrived on the planet in an effort to seek to destroy, pervert, and create unholy, essentially, that which Vira has created. And they were successful in that, at least with regards to the apocalypse and driving out the civilizations, the divine races through the gateways to Sanctus for their sanctuary. And the ancients, of course, they have other things that they're doing. I won't go into detail about that. That's a lot of lore that I'm not quite ready for us to reveal just yet. I mean, the story is going to onboard you to what that means when that story gets implemented and is in game. But I will say that they had left behind presence on Vera, so that should ever there be a return of these divine races, these souls that are quite tasty to a degree if you're looking for essence and you're an ancient, might return one day and try to reintroduce civilization. And lo and behold, that's what's happening today. When you return as a player, you are coming back to a home world, to an ancient world that was once your ancestors, and you are bringing back to it civilization and growth. And as a response to that, the ancients will be seeing this. And almost like a heartbeat on Vera, these corruption zones will respond to player activity in a very dynamic way, because we have certain touch points where players can do certain things, such as advancing settlements or crafting legendary gear or successfully starting wars between factions and guilds or different settlements and each other. And each of these types of player activities within the world can tick a clock to a degree, can stroke a ticker, and that ticker might be corruption as a level that's rising. And when that ticker hits a certain threshold from a dynamic world state perspective, these zones, these areas, these almost tendrils of corruption that reach out from the Harbinger impact locations will begin to grow. And they may incorporate upwards of 20 or 30 or potentially even 40% of an individual zone's playable space as conduits, as tendrils that break apart the normal transit lines of trade between nodes and in POIs. And as that corruption spreads, spreads, you're going to see the environment changing. You're going to see some, darker red haze that comes in and some potential fog elements, and the resource gatherables may change to corrupted variants or corrupted versions. And players will see an opportunity in that regard to acquire perhaps these resources that might be more valuable or might have a higher experience reward structure within this huntable PVX environment. Now, not everybody's going to be forced into that area. If players don't want to participate in PVX or PvP, they can stay delegated to a more safe, lawful area. But if you're trying to transit the most efficient or effective route in order to earn gold or transit materials, you might intersect with these corruption zones unless players push them back. And that is the primary replayable loop that we're aiming to achieve with these corruption zones spreading out of the Harbingers, is that they have objectives within them. And there are two primary phases that will likely exist with these corruption zones. There will be an incursion phase and there will be a foothold phase. And players will have hours essentially to respond to the incursion if that growth occurs and prevent that zone from becoming somewhat permanent. But if they fail to do so during the incursion phase, the zone may become a foothold. And a foothold requires a different set of objectives in order for players to push back that corruption. So I just want to be clear, like the system that we're intending to provide here is that players through their activities control the expansion of these zones, and through their successes and community organization and objective completion can control pushing back these zones. And depending on how these zones exist within the zone, depending on how these corruption zones exist within the Sand Squall, within the Turquoise, and within the June Dark, may impact the transit of trade and goods and gold that's generated within the world, and allow certain factions of players to prey on other factions of players as they seek to pursue those scarce resources.
Was a lot.
I know. I'm so sorry.
So
Once I get on the
hopefully-
stream, it's like a stream of consciousness just flowing there.
So hopefully everyone's following along. Obviously, I know that there's been a lot of questions. We'll be answering those later. But on that front, that is not it. And, obviously we're bringing in the story of the Harbingers. And with that comes, obviously storylines and quests and things of that sort. So Bill, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the narrative design team tools. They've been working with what they got right now, but we're working to hopefully get them some better ones.
Yeah, I don't, other than to say like this is going to be a true test of them, and it's an improvement over where we have been, and we're bringing on new designers and new resources to really exercise this system and make sure it's hardened for our future, right? Where we want to do, this is again like the first kind of stab at events of this scale and the scope, and this is something we want to have in Ashes all the time. So it's important that we get these things right, and that we're proving them in a realistic way, so that they are repeatable, and that we do have good pipelines for delivering this stuff, not only for the end of this year, but well into the future, and a live game that where we're investing in this dynamic in this promise of a dynamic world, and we want that to be real. And so, the hard work on these tools and making sure we get them right is what we're doing here.
Yeah. And beyond that, we have a little cherries on top section.
And actually, I do want to give a shout out actually as part of that tools discussion, because Zach and Andrew and the NCS team have been doing a great job on the narrative tooling, so that we can move faster.
Narrative content systems is what NCS stands for.
Yep.
Too.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
And they have been doing a great job on delivering with what the designers have asked from a tooling perspective. We did a significant overhaul and revamp of the narrative core systems. And as a result, we're feeling pretty good about these next couple of months and introducing content. But I will say, additionally, on top of that, we have brought on a new lead content designer as well, Terrence, who has been doing a phenomenal job as part of that effort as well. So big shout out to Terrence. He actually was with us early on with the company and came back after a short stint away. So very excited to have him helping to lead those efforts as well.
Yep. And so what I was going to say was that's not all. We also have the little cherries on top section. So if you might say that's our sundae, we have a little bit of extra toppings sprinkled on the top of that.
Yeah, and
So I don't know.
Our toppings tend to be another Sunday. So it's like, it's
Hey, look, we want it to be as big as possible.
yeah.
So these are not easy feats either, as Bill was basically trying to allude to. These are, while they may be cherries on top, they are much bigger than a cherry.
Sundays on top. We should
Or
change
something like
them.
open sea fishing is a whole new loop, and a whole that will affect the game in significant ways. Offers a whole new opportunities for different types of gameplay, whole new economic loops and ways to impact the global economy. It's super exciting. We have a team, that's really fired up and passionate about fishing and doing good work already here on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the discussions on the fishing stuff has been really cool. I've been watching like a fly on the wall. It's been pretty neat seeing what they're working towards.
MMOs are just an excuse to implement fishing systems
That's
anyways,
basically
right?
correct.
That's
yes.
true. Yep.
It's a fantasy fishing, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. I think that just to give a little bit more detail there, I think this is going to hit a sweet spot for what a lot of people have been asking for, especially people who have played some similar games as myself. I think that there's obviously a lot of great references out there to help inform this system, and we are definitely using the best to inform with also some of our own twists onto it. You can expect, as it outlines here, ship components. We have some additional ship components that include things like a holding tank for fish, that include things like radar that's going to be incorporated as part of a particular ship type. We do have an entirely new ship type that is coming on board. It's going to be smaller than the Caravel. It's going to have unique attachment slots that it will have access to, the ones that I just described. And then we're going to be expanding the playable space of the ocean, hopefully. That is a goal that we have, so that we don't incur those kind of sharp edge of map corridors that make for uninteresting strategic gameplay. And then we're also going to be incorporating this sport fishing design as part of a freshwater fishing approach as well. Obviously, that'll yield a lesser return, but it'll be safer because you will not be in a lawless area. So those are goals that we have. I think that the mini game there is going to be a lot of fun and something that players are accustomed to and are looking forward to.
All right. Moving on beyond open sea fishing, we've got the Renkai joining the mix as a new race. The long-awaited summoner that we know folks have been waiting on. Some world bosses, I think that's supposed to say. It says, or is it just world boss and there's an extra S? I think. Is it just one world boss? I think. Actually, no, there's three,
No,
right?
there's going to be variants. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
I was just gonna say, there, boss is probably accurate.
Yeah, I think what we're planning to do is finish up Sclerisha, which is almost done. I think that's part of their the milestone goal, which is the big scorpion mama.
Okay, maybe
as
even
we
more
call
than
her.
three then.
No, and then on top of that, we're going to be delivering as part of the Harbinger goal, obviously an ancient raid boss. You guys may have seen examples of this. We're going to be refining it, but the ancient one that was experienced as part of phase 2 and phase 1, that's going to be getting, I think, some model touch-ups and perhaps a little bit of a treatment from a behavior tree and ability perspective. And then there may be some bespoke uniqueness generally as part of that raid boss, depending on the Harbinger you're at.
And then mules will be coming. I know folks have been very excited for the mule system and wanting that has been very much asked for. So that will be coming as well. And we talked about this several times already, but economy features and changes will continue to be iterating on the economy. I feel like that's a never ending thing. We're constantly adding to it, and obviously iterating on that. And then we'll be polishing zones, lighting, and performance. And I don't know if you guys want to go into detail on any of those bits.
Just that performance obviously is a continual effort for us. As you add more content to the game, more systems to the game, more features to the game, you can experience dips in performance. So it's going to be a constant struggle for us, something that we are always profiling, inspecting, and addressing. You may see some regression in performance at times, depending on what we're implementing, and then we will quickly follow up with some inspection and solutions. Lighting, as we know, as I announced earlier, we did do a nativization approach to our custom lighting solution. We are using that nativization effort to help us better debug the lighting problems that we're having. Some of it is innate to the Lumen to the Lumen system as it relates to large interior spaces. We're working with Epic on that as well. So just to be clear, there are some fixes that are going to be coming down the pipe from tech art and lighting teams with regards to that. As it pertains to the zones as an overall polish approach, I don't know that polish is perhaps the right term. I think what we're going to be doing is continuing to flesh out zones overall as we move forward. Heavy focus is obviously going to be within the Harbinger areas, the impact craters, but there may be some additional development in the Anvils over the course of these next couple of months, obviously, as well. And we will keep you guys updated as we release those.
All right. And with that, that is what you can expect as we move forward to our next milestone. We are planning beyond that as well from a director's perspective, but we're not quite ready to share everything that is coming beyond that quite yet. But when we are, we will share that with you folks. I know that we have talked a little bit about some of that. And so some of you had questions in regards to like what our path is to beta. And I think, I don't know if Stephen, correct me if there's something here you don't want me to say, but we are looking at what is our criteria for beta. We will be setting expectations with you guys as we move forward in regards to that, but that's not going to be happening today. So just wanted to give you guys an FYI that is something that we do want to share with you all, but we want to make sure that all of our eggs are in a basket on our internal side before we share that externally with you guys.
No, I think that's accurate, right? Like when we're talking about how we plan, Brian, obviously we plan towards an end goal in mind. And for a very long time, we were planning towards Alpha 1. And for a longer time after that, we were planning towards Alpha 2. And when we got into Alpha 2, we plan against phases. And now that we've introduced the final phase of Alpha 2, where obviously there's still a lot of outstanding stuff that we need to do within Alpha 2, your job is to provide a schedule, essentially a roadmap internally that looks towards the next big deliverable.
Beta.
And that next big deliverable is beta when it comes to a phase. So we know there's a lot to get done with regards to that. But those plans, the train is now on a new track. And that track is how we get to beta.
That's very true. Yep, and we've got new tools that we're using to do that. We plot things pretty thoroughly now with using Miro boards and get new estimations, and we're doing these big sweeps to try to put together a good idea of the priorities of things that are falling into our milestones. So along those paths, I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're refining a lot of the pipelines that we've had, assessing what has worked for us and what hasn't. And so that as we move forward, we can continue to iterate on things and increase our efficiency. And I think Bill touched on, adding more resources as well as getting better tools for teams that are needing those. So it's definitely, a continual thing that we're working towards. And obviously we want to share with you guys as much as we can and be as transparent as we can, but we also want to be as accurate as we can. So we're sharing as we can. But I do want to make a note that things are subject to change. We may find a major issue along the lines of one of these systems and things may adjust. But we'll keep you all, well versed in what's going on and give you context to that stuff throughout our updates, whether that's here on our live streams that we do monthly, whether that's over on one of our social platforms or via our update notes. So just be on the lookout for information. We're pretty vocal about all of our stuff in all of the places if we're changing or swapping things up. And I think that will cover that. And we're going to go head into game and answer a bunch of questions for you all. So we're going to grab some other folks, pop in, play, and there's a long slew of questions. So I'm going to get the rest of our crew in, and we'll be heading into game.
Copy.
All right. Where are you at, Steven?
I am in the starting divine gateway.
I don't see you.
I am.
I see everybody else, but not you.
I am outside, flying
Oh,
slightly
you're
above.
outside. That's why.
Slightly
You're
above.
not in the starting area.
Our brother
He's got wanderlust.
I
Alright.
am wanderlust. Wanderlust lost.
I'll add you to the party
Alright,
once you.
Are we actually
know
doing
what to-
quests and stuff? We're just gonna run around.
I don't know. It's a good question.
I thought we were going to.
I'm gonna go to the Stonebeard Watcher.
The
Then.
rest of our crew has joined us, so I'm gonna let them. We got to find Steven so Steven can.
Look at that. We regressed. When I turn off nameplates, they still exist. Don't know
All right, I
how.
see Jim.
Greetings.
See Steven. All right, here we go.
I'm a level 1.
I don't think I have you, Zach, in our party. Oh, I see Zach. All right. We're all
So
here.
this, as
You guys
many
can come by Steven.
as
We'll
many
do
of
some
you
intros.
have experienced, is the second divine gateway in Ashes of Creation, in the depths of Mount Dune, the ancient Dunzenkel kingdom. I'm loving the looks and the vibe so far. Obviously, as I said, lighting is going to get some adjustments and some fixes. But the architecture, the grandiosity of it all, it is a great, beautiful.
The lighting on
hall.
that tree, though, dramatic.
Oh, that uplighting? I know, right?
Yeah.
I was concerned about whether or not uplighting would be the right approach when I asked Chris to implement that. I
And
think
the
we all
dwarves.
were.
With the water
Yeah,
fountains.
but I think it turned out pretty good, actually. I like the dichotomy and the color scheming also. You have the hammer rest to the left and the bonfire and the orange glow to the right. Nice.
Do you want to intro the new folks joining us?
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
we'll
Let's do that.
yeah, you feel free.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I'll start grabbing the questions as well.
How about you do that? I didn't see the run of show.
Oh, sure. We've got with us, I believe in game as Ford is Brian, and Steven is Steven, and I'm
That is
Luperza.
I.
And then we've got Jasari. Let me know if I'm saying that wrong. And that's Jocelyn, if you want to say hi.
Hello, it's Jasiri.
Jasiri, okay. And you've joined us before with when we were doing all the ship fun.
I have, yes.
So
Went down with the
you wanna
ship
tell
and
people
all.
what you do here.
I'm a senior producer for the gameplay development teams. And yeah, I eat, sleep, and dream project management.
Jocelyn is actually understating the fact that she eats, breathes, and does the project management. My goodness, if these last few weeks have said anything, that is a truth.
Host is obviously Bill, and then we've got Sanders here. If you want to introduce yourself, Jim.
Hi, I'm Jim. I'm the art director.
Short and sweet. And last but not least, we got GM Zach.
Hello.
I won't
I'm
say your
Zach.
full name like your mother again. I'm sorry.
I'm Zach. I'm the technical director. I think I've been on these streams a lot of times. I work on a lot of stuff, all tech side, when we're having outages, working on scalability, performance, all that is in my wheelhouse.
All right. And with that, I will start asking questions. Stephen, we'll follow you.
Zach and I were up late last night doing
We were.
an incident response to a DDoS attack.
Yep.
So I'll ask questions and we'll just follow along with the quest if you want, Stephen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I'll follow you and
Am I questing?
yes,
Let me go
you
grab-
take us through the journey and
Let
I
me
will
grab the
ask
quest.
questions. So the first question here is, will November 18th update come with a wipe? maybe we should just talk about our strategy for wipes
You should grab
in phase 3 generally.
bonfire side, Stephen.
Bonfire? All right, let's do it. I'm grabbing
bonfire
bonfire.
side.
Dizzy, eh?
Yeah.
I gotta go. Now I gotta go back.
Don't worry about it. We should make this guy Canadian. A Canadian dude with Cal.
I think he's a Nikuan, actually.
A Canadian Nukuin, my bad.
Nahatu.
Yeah.
Did you hear my question,
So
Steven?
yeah, the question
Yeah.
was, I'm sorry. So maybe Bill, why don't you lead us through the questing while I'll help answer some of the questions. I'll just follow you.
Okay,
Um,
that sounds like a good idea.
Okay, so the question was about how do we treat wipes. So as we enter into phase 3, as we've discussed in the past, our goal obviously is not to be wiping. We are going to be introducing new content. We're going to be introducing new features, obviously, and stability, but we don't want to have to wipe. However, that doesn't exclude the potential that that might occur. It might be something that happens. It just kind of depends on what is going on from an iteration standpoint, from a development standpoint. But our goal is not to result in an additional wipe in phase 3. And if we need to simulate new server launches, we will do that perhaps through temporary server launches, or as we expand the player base, when we move into more marketable phases of phase 3, then we will do so with additional servers.
All right, next question is, kindly, if you have time, and this is, they're saying, I have a question for the dev team. Which in-game economies do you seek to emulate for other MMOs, if any? And this is from Peanut, who is on Lotharia.
Nice. I think we have a lot of different influences when it comes to things we like or dislike around the economy. And we pull that obviously from experiences that we as gamers have had, as well as developers. And some of those things some of my favorite economies that I've experienced are, ArcAge's economy and its emphasis on the transit of goods through the world, and the diversity of materials. I think they did a great job with theirs. Lineage 2 in their reliance on crafters and kind of their boss drop paradigm. I've really enjoyed that. Eve with their risk versus reward system in Zero Sec Space. I thought that was a great plan. The input options that come out of Star Wars Galaxies and the uniqueness of their material driving the types of crafting that's possible. Really enjoyed that. So, there's a lot of different positive points that I think, we leverage when it comes to our own personal experiences as gamers, and try to find a way to incorporate it in a unique way that represents what Ashes is trying to achieve, which is this higher risk versus reward paradigm, and a greater reliance on crafters, with a broad and diverse and eclectic pool of material resources that drive players to engage either on a vendor front, a questing front, or a mob drop front with adventuring.
All right. Well, thank you.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Peanut, who submitted that question from X, aka Twitter. We'll never not. It's kind of like Nodes and Settlements. I don't know if people will get over it.
I've had 2 dogs in my lifetime named Peanut, by the way.
So that's like a whole different feel for you.
We called them Peanut 1 and Peanut 2.
Wait, Steven, you passed the quest objective.
Oh, my bad. I'm answering questions. I'm doing that thing in MMOs where you're talking on Discord or back in the day Ventrilo, and you're just running in circles in the city.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys multitask, man. I'm all like staring at my fingers, trying not to walk off the bridge and stuff. You guys are experts.
And joining the party as Parkus is Mr. Mark, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, how's it going, everyone?
Late to the party,
Yes, late to the
fashionably.
party. Yes, always fashionably. They let me out of my, they took the chains off for a few minutes.
Did you hear
my
that Steven
God.
wants to make the starting Nikuan Canadian? So
Oh, yes, I
maybe in
heard
your honor.
that. I
Paying homage.
approve of that. Yes, yes. I grew up in Canada.
And Steven,
Yes.
have you cleaned off one of these
one
tablets
of
here?
the tablets? Let me come back and take a look at the tablets. Yeah, Mark is alluding to the days where back during the APOC testing, we had him chained up to a table, unfortunately.
That was true. We had no HR back then, so there was no one to protect me.
Oh, no. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to move on before HR does come.
Yes, let's move on.
Our next question is from Twitch from Lazy Master, who wants to know, how did launch go from the perspective of Intrepid? What did you learn / test out mainly during launch?
I'll let the technical team answer that one. Zach and Mark, if you guys want to.
Where do I start? So I think this launch was our best launch so far. I think we start with that. Like, by far, it was our best launch so far. If we think about, phase 2, phase 1, we have servers falling over nonstop. We're getting DDoSed. Like, we can't keep the service up. We're like struggling to. I don't think that, like, keeping the service up this time did not take a substantial amount of effort. We have our DDoS mitigation in place, and it seems to be working. Yep. The game is a lot more stable than it used to be, so we're not crashing all the time on our servers, and you're getting kicked. We definitely still had a couple bugs slip through that we wouldn't want to slip through. Like, I know there was the bug on Tuesday that some people were getting when you loaded into the game, you would crash. Mm-hmm. That's something we definitely would not want to get through in the future, but did make it through. What do you have to add, Mark? I think that's what I have, at least.
Yeah, just in general, there's always been that moment in the first couple of days where you're questioning your sanity, and we seem to avoid that this time. So that was actually pretty nice. So yeah, just from an overall stability perspective, this was definitely our best launch by far. So we've been happy from it from that perspective. So
I think we should highlight ICS too, because ICS had no issues at all this time. Like, it just worked. Like, that's true. And in the previous launches, we've had ICS problems with the scaling or bugs, and there were no problems this time. All the backend services just worked, which is really nice.
Yeah, the team did a lot of hard work there to make sure that we were ready, some testing in advance to make sure that we could handle the initial loads. Yeah, from that standpoint, I think it was pretty stable. So that was good. It was a little bit more relief on our side, ICS side as well. And I think that although we do have folks who are monitoring things in this 24/7 operation standpoint, the load on them hasn't been too severe. So we've been able to manage it.
Anything else anyone wants to add? All right, shall move on to the next question, which is from Blazin TV on Twitch, and they want to know, so are the current lawless zones a precursor to the upcoming Harbinger or Harbingers, or will they be alongside the Harbinger zones?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Sure. So are the current lawless zones a precursor to the upcoming Harbingers, or will they be alongside the Harbinger zones?
They are they a precursor to the lawless zones? What does that mean?
I think they mean,
are they going to exist? Zones a precursor to the upcoming Harbinger one? So is the lawless zone situation that we currently have, the system still going to be in place on as well as the Harbingers?
The lawless PvP battlegrounds. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That is a good question. Probably not. I think we may keep those. They have a different, they have a different lore around them, and they can occur in different locations, and they don't carry with them the corruption visuals and the story and event mechanics that the corrupted zones will have. But I will say that that's an outstanding question with systems that we will discuss.
Cool. This one is from Endless Shadow on Twitch. When will us founders be able to spend our currency for more packs? Or when will a shop be available for more mount skins?
I would say that we do not know yet, but we will have announcements around that when we come to some decisions.
We have some planning that has been going on in regards to that. Right now we are providing entitlements for previously purchased packs. So some of the mounts, specifically the ground mounts, and some of the costumes have been awarded to folks. They're not in their final stage of implementation. So right now, if you make a new character and you purchase those, you will get them on every new character. eventually you'll only be able to use those on a single character. And that system is not implemented yet. But we are slowly going to be adding all the previously purchased stuff, and then you'll start maybe seeing some shop stuff in the future. The next question is from Bad Bunny Gaming. I'd love for you guys to talk more about the phases of the development process. Might help the community understand your timelines better.
Yeah, Brian, if you wanna take that.
Yeah, sure. Again, as we're doing for Engines of Chaos, we're going to kind of be doing these as milestones. We try to put a milestone at each of the quarters. What we tend to do in the various phases here is we start with ideation. That's where we, like I was saying earlier, pull those great ideas out of Steven's head. Those go into game designers to kind of write up in what they call GDD format or game design documents. We then get to work on some of those GDDs while processing feasibility at the engineering side, because as Stephen says, everything is possible in code. So our engineers go in and they start looking at that stuff to see if it's feasible. And then after all of that, we go into big estimation period. While the estimation period, we break those down into tasks, and then we estimate them. As the tasks are being estimated, we also go through and we run prioritization on the ideas that we want to put into any given milestone. We run to ground what those estimations looks like against the dates of those milestones that we're trying to hit. And then we lay those estimations out and we realize what can or cannot be made in time. That pushes like a little bit of a pass where we say like, what can we do? How do we reallocate things to make things work? And then at the end of that phase, we recognize what we may have to put in as a smaller piece of content later, because we want to hit our major priorities first, all of which is kind of defined by our collective director goals. And then we kind of rinse repeat that across the next sets of milestones. So
Rutro, Raggy.
What happened?
I got disconnected.
Uh-oh.
Sad.
Check in.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I'm watching it on the delay.
Well, I think we know what it is.
Oh, I think we know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
you should be able to log back in.
Yep, I'm logging back in. Yeah, no, Brian, great breakdown there. I mean, from a planning perspective, 100%. And then as we move into development, obviously we go through different block up phases, we go through different level planning, we have asset creation and concept that's required in order to deliver on faction assets, props, foliage and gatherables, and our prop builders and our environment artists and our character artists, they're building all of that in the background, while the design team is essentially blocking out, different pieces of content, playable spaces that they want to see. And then, as we get into having the proper assets available and the narrative paths put in, we begin to implement those, and that's all done down on a development branch, where when it's ready for promotion up to the QA branch and starting that path towards the live production environment for content that players can consume, it starts moving into the testing path with our QA teams, as we discussed last month. And that's kind of the full loop from planning to development until it makes it into the player's hands.
All right. Next we have, will there be an addition to ship hulls that are for people in the Anvils, since it's only oak right now?
Yes, that is likely an oversight that we will have addressed. I think the intent there is that ultimately we will have certain types of material requirements that are going to be interchangeable with other types of materials. So it will require a master category of wood, and you can contribute any type of tier 1 wood to that, I believe is the intent. But I'll discuss that with Recon. Yep, cool.
Cool. This one is from Lepro, but let me know if I said that wrong. Lepro. Would this Harbinger event include potential settlement destruction? So they're wondering if destruction is going to be coming in with the Harbinger event.
The destruction event for nodes will not be present. It is not a targeted goal of this next milestone. It will likely be in the milestone after that.
And then Milos would like to know, what's the status on dynamic gridding? When can we expect to test it again?
So dynamic grid. Oh, I'll let Zach speak to that actually. Sorry, I was about to start. I was about to run off.
I
Do
think,
we have Zach? Oh, there you
yeah, I'm here. The answer is very soon. So right now we're spending a lot of time doing a lot of internal scale testing of dynamic gridding, making sure it is performing exactly how we think it should. Specifically the automatic portion, because we've already done all of the testing we would want to do on the PTR around like doing the splits and making sure they're seamless. And I think all of the people who were on the PTR at that point can attest to that it was really good, really smooth. So we're spending most of our time just making sure that the automatic splitting part is really good and performing exactly how we want it to. So we're collecting metrics and making sure our weights are right on our on how we make the decisions for doing splits and stuff like that. It's just making sure all that is really solid, and then we'll probably just turn it on. Like we're not really worried about it it performing the way we think it will. It's just we wanted to make sure that it is making the right decisions when it should, essentially.
Yeah, and it dynamic gridding is currently on the live production environment. It's just will only be enabled during specific testing plans that we have over the course of the next couple of weeks, and until it is in a prime position that we feel, which as Zach said is going to be pretty soon.
Yep.
All right, what have we got next? Did we lose Margaret?
Margaret, we can't
Oh,
hear you.
sorry. I have myself muted. It helps if I don't. What's the intended gear cycle? What's the lifespan of a gear piece? And this is coming from Lamina5432.
Well, I think that's a variable, right? That's kind of defined by the player and the types of content that they're attempting to overcome. Obviously, within a game like ours, there is a breadth of content that you can be relevant towards, generally within plus or minus 9 levels of your existing level. And as a result of that, if you're trying to hit above your weight class, you're going to require stronger gear, and you're probably going to need to move out of the gear that you have sooner. If you're comfortable hitting below your weight class, then the gear that you've acquired likely can last a longer amount of time. So, I would say that level range of plus or minus 9 levels is also something that can likely correlate to the type of gear that's acceptable for the content that you're pursuing. If I were to say what the average intent is, generally our grading system is a good indicator of when you should be transitioning to the next grade is around those levels. As you reach level 10, you should be looking to have, depending on how much you play, to have fully kitted yourself out in a low end grade of tier, a low tier of that grade. So in the example of your level 1 through 10 experience, that's an initiate grade. By level 10, you should probably be fully decked out in some low end version of that, depending on the resources you have available to you, or the guild structure that you might be participating in, or the group that you might have access to. And then as you move into the adept grade, which is level 11 through 20, you're going to want to follow that general same acquisition process and period that you did in your level 1 through 10 experience. Hoping to achieve a low-end tier set by the time you reach level 20. I would say that's what we're aiming for. And again, like within each grade, there are generally 3 power levels: low, medium, and high. And we don't use that nomenclature externally. Obviously, I am using it with you on this stream. But essentially, it just indicates a power level, right? So if your initiate grade goes from 1 to 10, and you have a set of gear that's powered level 1 through 4, then you might have a set of gear that's powered level 4 through 6, and you might have a level of a gear set that's powered 6 through 10. Those would be the 3 different categories. The low end should be generally accessible for each of the grades, right? This would be accessible generally through mob drops, through quest rewards, through vendor options, through crafting, and that's how players should acquire that low end grade. If crafters who are looking to corner market or to make high returns and to, create items that are going to be sought after, they're going to want to create the medium and the high end grade items because those are the ones that are going to drop much less frequently, require a higher amount of rare resources, not be available on vendors. They're not going to be generally available through quest rewards either, right? At the medium level. And at the high level, really not the case, right? It's going to be predominantly delivered through raid bosses, named bosses, or crafters. So, that's what I would say the paradigm we're trying to achieve is. Obviously, we need to adjust some of the figures that we have done with this latest economy update. We're aware of that, and we are trying to focus in on those changes.
Okay. Ooh, long one. Muscles wants to know the lore behind the tree in the mountain, and I believe they're talking about the hardwood tree that we were gazing upon earlier.
What was the question? What's the lore behind it?
They would like to know the lore behind it.
Yeah, Bill, I don't know if you want to chat a little bit about that, maybe? What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the heartwood trees are part of what we call the rootway, which is a network of essence that runs through Vera. They're a reflection of the health of essence, and ultimately a reflection of the overall health of Vera and its capacity for growth and healing. That's why we see them in the ancient ruins as dead and
they look a
decrepit,
little messed up.
Well,
and
ways of taking some
and
punches.
then they are also a feature in all of our settlements as the settlements grow, and as glint, which is also a expression of physical essence, is accumulated within these settlements. It impacts the way that those heartwood trees then are nourished and grow. So all of players' actions, within the given area around a settlement also, impact that and contribute to the overall health of the heartwoods.
Well, it also serves as a landmark too, visually, so you can get around in Vera.
Absolutely.
I think you kind of answered this already, but maybe you can, and you talked about the gear progression. Maybe you can specifically get more into the crafting part of it. But Trial by Combos wants to know, can you provide any insight to what your hopes were/are for crafting in the early game?
Yeah, I mean, I did talk a little bit about that, right? If people are looking to self-serve their own gear progression, then they're going to want to try to focus in on crafting low-tier items. And if you are a crafter looking to make a return that's significant, you're probably going to want to try to focus in on acquiring recipes for those mid-tier and high-tier items, and acquiring the rare resources to either deliver higher quality craftable low-tier items, or to deliver on higher quality mid and high tier. Now the complexity should also grow for the recipe based off of that low, medium, and high moniker. And that is something that also we're going to be tuning a little bit on the low end side, because it isn't as accessible as we want it to, especially for the early levels. But generally, as most games are, you're not going to make your killing as a crafter at the low end, at the initiate grade of gear, right? The level 1 through 10 experience. I mean, that's where you're going to get your leg up on the market. If you excel well there in your early economy, strategy, then you're likely going to be able to control a particular area of the resource market as you get into the higher grade levels. Oh my God, I'm getting murdered.
I'm coming to heal you.
Why?
I feel like I'm on a really long, escort quest with Steven.
I know, right?
We're just killing the path around you.
There's no way that I can comprehensively answer these types of questions and legitimately play the game.
Hey, man.
I can only walk and talk. I can't walk, perform, and talk.
You got to level up your multitasking skills.
Not if you want this level of detailed answer.
I'm just trolling you. The next one here, and we're probably only going to answer a few more, and we got to wrap up because y'all, we got tons of meetings we got to go to and do, and we still got to eat lunch. We could be here all day answering questions. But the next one here is from Kakayo, and they want to know, are you planning to include instanced areas like dungeons?
Yes, we are planning to include instance areas. It will likely not be a part of this milestone, this upcoming milestone. And just to kind of reiterate what the design philosophy is around instanced content, this is where we want, designers to have a more controlled, curated experience from a challenge rating perspective. It might be used in specific chapter endings or bridges to new narrative structures, but generally we want to keep players in the open world. And so, if I were to kind of think about what that spread might be, historically I've said it's going to be probably an 80-20 spread of instance content being 20% of the experience, at least narratively, and I think that still holds true. We're also going to use instances for our apartments and inn structure as well, and even perhaps some objective-based gameplay for certain types of events so that we can control the number of participants within the objective. But generally, we are an open world game, and so that means the vast majority of our content is going to be developed for that intent and purpose.
All right. From Hutchie 1989, is all the cherry on top stuff expected to come on November 18th, or is it expected to come earlier, specifically Summoner?
Generally, we're going to be reserving our big content pushes now going forward for End of Milestone so that we can ensure a better quality assurance pass on things. And so we'll utilize several methods in order to ensure that we hold that content even if it does get delivered early. But if you do want to experience it early, you can do so on the PTR environment where it remains under a visual NDA and has the opportunity for you as a tester to participate in finding all the jacked bugs with the system before it actually goes live. That is kind of how we are presenting the testing right now. We're going to be moving those big deliverables into our milestone goals. They'll be delivered in big patches at the end of the milestone, and players will get to see them throughout the PTR process at different testing cadences within the milestone.
We made it out of the mountain.
Oh,
it's so beautiful.
God. We did it.
This is seriously like an escort quest for Steve. We just escorted Steven out of the mountainside.
And I died twice. Well, my client died twice.
Okay, I was like, I did not let you die, sir. I was healing
Look at how
you.
beautiful this is. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I'm digging it.
We're coming out to where we might find some Nikuin homies.
Oh, I'm gonna go for a swim actually. It's kind of warm up here.
Okay, I'm gonna take the bridge. Good luck with your swim.
I got little bubbles. My little bubbles are coming out.
Our next one here is from I'm Covered in Bees, and I think that is a whole other problem that you might want to go get checked out. Their question is, RP is a big part of other MMOs, and I wanted to see if anything is being thought of to cater to that niche. That niche.
Niche being bees?
RP players.
Oh, RP.
Yes.
I thought he was asking about bees in the game.
No. His name or their name is I'm Covered in Bees.
Oh, got it. I was like, wow,
and I was just making a joke
really
about their name.
all about bees.
Maybe they do an RP that they're covered in bees. I don't know.
RP. So the question is, how relevant is RP in Ashes?
The question is there anything going to be like? Have we thought about ways to cater to that group of folks?
Oh, yeah.
RP folks.
We've thought a lot about that, from taverns to RP walking to costumes to transmog to different types of emotes and dancings, and there are a lot of different things that we want to do. Obviously, it's not a super high priority right now as we're still trying to land the general content and systems and features within the game. But RP is not at the back of our minds. I personally am a big advocate of RP gameplay. And I want to make sure that we have some cool features in order to have an immersive world. Look at this beautiful bonfire. I guess that's why
a lot of people are saying the bonfire is pretty.
I'm digging it. Very
Feels
cool.
Toasty. I'm feeling a little warm.
Yeah, I'm feeling warm here.
Maybe I should have taken a swim like Steven.
You know what we need for RP right now is
what?
we need a little, you warm your hands up against the fire.
Oh yeah, a little.
That's what I'm talking about. Or a little interact.
Need some benches out here that I can sit on, like a little log.
Yeah, you should be able to interact with the bonfire and have your hands kind of go out and heat yourself up. And then you, after like 30 seconds of channeling that, you get a buff that's warmed. And the warm buff lasts for 10 minutes and gives you 1% experience bonus.
100%.
They're like, done.
Let's do it. Ship it.
All All right, we'll do one more question and then we'll kind of wrap things up here. And let's see, which one should we do here? I'm gonna pick random. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Here. This is from Nevras21. Were reduced drop rates intended or part of the testing plan? I know they were buffed recently, but it caused a split in the community.
Well, what was intended was what I described, and that is the highest amount of accessibility for low-tier items within the initiate grade, accompanying the player as part of their initial 1 through 10 progression. And where we landed from a numbers perspective was not reflective of that experience. So what we did is we have gone back and begun tuning based off of data. That's the process of testing. Now, normally that testing would have been done as throughout the month of July and through the introductory period of August. However, as I have said, and can sometimes happen, in fact, oftentimes can happen in development, when you are doing new things, you take perhaps sometimes a little bit longer than expected. We ran over on the August 4th date. Now we're responding to that with this data. It definitely creates a little bit of a paradigm that we have to fix from the introductory experience, but it's all towards a positive end, which is ensuring that we have a balanced economy that hits the goals of the experience. And you guys are helping provide us with that data, and we are actively responding within the live environment.
I want to help these poor Nikuin out that are carrying these giant buckets or kegs. It looks like they're really big compared to them. All right, we answered quite a few questions. So thank you all for joining us as always. Final reminders are if you're interested in joining our development journey, please head on over to ashesofcreation.com. You can see how to access the game through our bundle there. It gives you not only access to Alpha 2, but our betas and a little extra month time, as well as some embers. And, if you're not interested in following the journey, you can, just watch from the sidelines. We do updates frequently, so you can keep an eye on our socials. We are Ashes of Creation everywhere, so follow us there. We have all kinds of places where you can give us feedback, forums, Discord, etc. We will be putting out some additional questions for you all this weekend that we would love for you to provide some answers to the team. And we'll be compiling all of that Tuesday bright and early when we get back into the office so the team can iterate on those things. And, thank you to all of you for coming and watching us live. We really appreciate it, for all the questions, to Brian, Bill, Zach, Mark, Jim, Jocelyn, and of course, Stephen, for your time here. It is definitely, we know that you guys are valuable. We'll have a lot of work that we need to do even in today. So we have a lot that we're going to be heading off to do. Otherwise, we would spend all day with you guys. We would love to play. Of course, stay healthy, stay safe. If you are wanting to relive this action on Twitch, it should be available right after. And of course, we'll upload it to YouTube for you all to check out after. And we will be on all of the social platforms if you're interested in keeping up on a day-to-day with us. Anything else that you want to share, Stephen, or anyone else?
No, just very excited for phase 3. Excited to watch you guys progress. Give us that feedback on your experiences, and we will be watching, and we will be updating, and we will be working towards our November milestone and providing you some updates come next month on that. Give us your thoughts from the stream. Very excited. And thank you guys for joining us, by the way.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks everyone
Thanks.
for helping us make this world.
Woo!
We're just getting started. We got so much more to go. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
So true.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right. Bye, everybody. See you next month.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye.